What is going on, guys? How's everybody doing? I thought I would share my top tips for anyone going on a solo motorcycle tour. So my top tip, ladies and gents, my first top tip is to actually set the date. Set the date for your trip and put something in stone, because too many times I've thought about doing a trip and I've put it off for some reason or not. So actually commit yourself to actually doing a tour. Once you've done that, set about planning your route. So a bit of Google Maps or Bing Maps or whatever you use, start planning your route. If there's someone in the area, like if someone in the area has said, oh, be great if you avoid the E6, for example, and then go and take this route, it's a lot better, then you can change your plans and then you can plan your route accordingly. But you've got to think about time in the saddle. Can you do hours in the saddle at any one time? Obviously taking breaks here and there, but the overall distance, how long can you do in the saddle? I myself came over from England and I'd come over from Harwich to the Hook of Holland on the ferry, and I did about 10 hours straight from Holland all the way up to sort of middle of Denmark, itching to get some miles under my belt. I covered about 800 kilometers on the bike, and boy did I feel it. It was the most agonizing, excruciating pain. I developed this pain in the rear of my shoulder, and it just wouldn't go away, so I was stopping very often. Right, okay, my next top tip is that once you've done all that, you need to start thinking about preparing your bike, preparing yourself and your camping gear. So with regards to preparing the bike, obviously get it straight in for a service. If there's anything that you can do yourself, like chain and sprockets, tightening and adjusting the chain, oiling the chain, get that done. Check your tyres, check your rear tread. Is it going to last you? If not, get it changed. Pick a decent touring tyre as well. Something that's good in the wet, that's going to be grippy for those twisty mountain turns. Check both tyres, rear and front, and get them changed in pairs. Don't take any risks. Change the oil, check the brake fluid, and more importantly, check your brake pads. Right, so prepare yourself for the trip. Do a little shakedown beforehand. If you've never done a tour before, do something that's local, like an all-day ride where you're going to stay over, and then you can prepare all your camping gear, and then you can put everything through its paces. So you put your bike through the paces. Tank bag all right? Does the GPS work? All that kind of stuff. Is the tent all right? Has it got any holes in it? You know, all that kind of stuff. So do like a mini shakedown. Definitely worth doing before you go. Prepare your camping gear. I'm not going to go in again to the stuff that I take. I'll do that at a later date. There might be times where you don't need to camp, such as Norway. On the way up there are numerous little wooden cabins, so there might not be a necessity to take any camping gear. Plus that's going to save you some extra weight and space on the bike. Don't forget, for God's sake, to take your earplugs. Buy loads of them. If you go online, you can buy a pack of 200 earplugs for next to nothing. £7, $14, whatever. They're a necessity, absolute necessity. Not only does it block out, it's not just your exhaust note that you can hear all the time, it's the constant wind noise. And if you're on the highway, the freeway, the motorway or whatever, or you're going down a straight bit of road and there's, you can get some speed up, it's going to fatigue you hearing all that wind noise for any certain amount of time. So get some decent earplugs. You can get ones that block out the wind noise, but you can still hear bits on the bike, and you can hear sirens and whatnot. They're a godsend. Plus, they're good for the camping sites. You can put the earplugs in for that as well. Helps you for a better night's sleep. Right, the next one to think about is whether you're going to do textiles or whether you're going to do leather. What I'm going to be doing when I get up to do my trip to the north of Norway is to take me trusty Alpine Stars Dry Star textiles. And the reason for that is is that it's going to get mighty fine cold up at the Arctic Circle, and when you're over the mountain ranges, and what I can do is I can layer up underneath the textiles, even though I'll look like a bit of a Michelin man. It'll adequately take all that. Whereas if I was wearing my touring leathers, I've got some RST blade leathers. They're really comfy, and the good thing with leathers is that they fit well. The knee armour, the back armour, the elbow armour are all spotty dog. They're all bob on, and I feel safe and secure in them. However, they're quite a tight fit, and I can't see myself, apart from thermal underwear, getting any more layers underneath. And boy, I will need to layer up big time when I'm going up to Northern Norway. So that's my preference. Might not be your preference. Some people do leather trousers, textile jacket. Other people do just leathers. Other people just do textiles. It's up to you. So, but just make sure that whatever you get, make sure that you try it on and you get some well-fitted gear. I don't like to book campsites or hotels in advance, because you find yourself rushing to get there and not enjoying the ride, I don't think. So what I like to do is, the first day, I'll book something in advance and then leave the rest. And then what I'll do is I'll ride the next day, and then halfway through the day I'll start looking about where I am about, am I meeting my objectives, am I going to meet my route plan, you know, have I taken a different route, you know, you don't know, do you? So then what I'll do is to start having a bit of lunch, and then looking about where I'm going to sort of be by 2 o'clock, because you don't want to be doing like putting up camping gear in the dark. You don't want to be stressing about where you're going to stay for the night, and you certainly don't want to be doing, I don't think, night riding, especially if you're like the back and beyond. Once you've planned your route and you've got an idea of where you're going, leave your route plan with a friend or a relative and let them know where you're going to be on what date. So before you even go, if you haven't got one already, most people have nowadays, but if you haven't got one already, set yourself some kind of social media account. So Twitter, Facebook, Google Plus, anything like that. And then what you can do is you can update people on your route. Plus, while you're taking photos and stuff, it's good to look back on. So if you don't happen to meet the pre-arranged destination that you were going to go to before, you can let everybody know on social media, you know, stick something on Facebook. Had a right good day's ride, didn't make so and so, ended up at this place. If the worst was to happen and you was to get into an accident and the emergency services were to be called, right, there needs to be a way of them reaching your loved ones or your next of kin. So some people like to make, I've heard of people making like a little pocket with some information stuffed inside a waterproof pocket and tape into the helmet. Right, I've heard that being done. I don't like stuff like that. So what I do is I will keep something on my wallet in my top breast pocket, and it will have my information in there and a laminated card somewhere. Also, I will have on my phone ICE, in case of emergency, ICE, in case of emergency, and I have that on my phone. Now you might be thinking to yourself, well, what good's that on my phone for the emergency services if your phone's locked on a pin or something like that? Well, you can actually, there's a way of doing it where on the iPhone and the Android you can put it into the locked screen. So when you lock your phone, on the locked screen there is a bit on there that says in case of emergency, and the emergency services can then use that to ring there. That's something to bear in mind as well. Make sure that you take adequate breaks. So don't wait until your body's screaming out for you to brake and you're thinking, oh, I should have had a break there. And don't leave it necessarily to fuel stops. A lot of people will turn around and say, oh, I can get, you know, 150 miles to a tank, 180 miles to a tank. So what I'll do is I'll stop every time I need fuel. So what I like to do is I like to keep myself either a bottle of juice or a bottle of water and some little snacks and stuff in my tank bag, and then just keep them just in cases. But I like to stop every hour or 2 hours just to stretch the legs, you know, stretch off the back. I like to just have a little stretch off, you know, and it gives you a break as well from the road. You see a lot of times, don't you, on the motorway where it says have you had adequate rest, and as a car driver you're like, yeah, whatever. You know, I can easily do that in 7 hours, you know, try and break the record of getting up there. Whereas on a bike, you're on holiday, for God's sake. You know, take your time. It's not a rush, it's not a race. It's adventure, isn't it? And enjoy. Coming into Randaberg. Nice little place.